So, I was talking to my friend not too long ago about how I'm working on this dragon breeding project of mine, and it has been quite a pain in my ass in that I went from like a 1.76% chance of hatching the dragon color combination that I wanted to most recently a 10% chance. And they were like, wow, I mean, I have some dragons that I really, really want and that have a low, population on Flight Rising in general. And I would not even know how to start a dragon breeding project like that. And I basically kind of told them what I did, and I was like, you know what, that's actually a good idea for a video, because I don't know how many people out there want to do this sort of thing and don't know how to be successful at it. And I've got quite a few dream dragon breeding projects under my belt. I can even show you some of my completed projects, actually. Directory, Dream Dragons. And these are the ones I have completed, and these are the ones I'm kind of wanting or working towards. So, if you go here on my page, it'll even link to the dragon. Obviously, it's not a Sky Dancer. That's kind of on the back burner. Gening it into the breed that I want is usually like the last thing I do. And then Ruffles. That one was like a super fast one. This one, I actually found someone else bred it, so I didn't even really have to breed it myself, but I was going to. And then this one I bred myself, and this one I bred myself. And I've done more than these. I just either don't have the dragons anymore, or I am too lazy to put them in here. So, anyway, here's how I do it. I'm going to start off using this dragon as an example. I want to start off saying that I typically only do this for color combinations. Sometimes I will include breeds if it's like I want a Coatl or a Wildclaw, and those are both gem genes that I don't want to buy. I'll do that. But most of the time it's usually just a color combination, so I'm sorry if color combination is not what you're after. And yeah, so step 1 is to have your dream dragon. Let's say I want a brown cherry dragon. What's the next step? Well, we go over to the auction house and see if there's any dragons available. Actually, I have it already set up here. So search. And then step 3 is cry, because there's nothing in the auction house for you. And that's where typically our dragon project actually begins. We actually have, our predict scry dragon. You're like, oh, that's a cool looking dragon, I really want it, let's see if it's the auction house. And you get here, there's no results, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm not getting that dragon then. Well, it doesn't have to stop there, my friend. What I typically do is look for XXYs, or whatever combination I'm trying to get to. I typically go with XXYs, XYXs, or XYYs. I'm not doing any XXXs typically, or XYZs. My current one is an XYZ, so, I mean, I do those. I just enjoy XYYs, or doubles, I should say, more. Anyway, I digress. So we get rid of brown and see what we've got. And just in terms of YYs or doubles or whatever you want to call it. And we still don't have a lot of dragons available to this, and this is including gem dragons. So we have a ruby cherry and a garnet cherry, and these would be our best bets for at least one of our dragons for the pairing, because reds are close to browns. So I'm going to open this in a new tab. Any dragon that looks promising for the pair, I usually open in a new tab. I've already done some research on how I would get this dragon. So for right now, I'm just going to open up this female and put her off to the side, and then look for other combinations. So since our doubles aren't really abundant, I would go down to Crimson and Ruby. Probably exit Cherry, and then actually I will keep Cherry there. Back down. So Ruby, Crimson, and then see what we would get. So XYY or XYZ would be fine. And then look at what we get. So we get a lot of dragons. A lot of them are going to be in the white, or like the grayscale range. So I'm just going to cut those off real quick, just to keep them from appearing in the search. If we were to start with Garnet, what we could do is go into like the opposite opposite finder, and basically figure out what the opposite of Garnet is. So we would just do G. Cyan and Robin. So our last thing should be Robin, I think. So we'll do a range, and we'll do Robin to Brown, because Brown is what we're going for. So that narrows us down to 2 pages, which is doable. So we have a female ready for us, so I'm going to do a male. So Metals is a good one. Actually, I am going to look through our male options as well, see if we get anything better than Garnet, which I don't think we will. And then we have, this is the other metal, so Pyrope is a female, which we can't really use. But she is an option. Actually, if we go back to just Cherry real quick. Ruby, I think, is closer to Brown than Garnet is. Yes, it is. So Ruby's here, Garnet's there. So we would actually be using the boy, Pyrope, and this guy. So Pyrope and Unnamed is what we would use if we were going to go about this by ourselves. There is a second option. What I typically do is I go into this as if I were going to breed these dragons from scratch by myself with no outside help, i.e. no asking one if any of their dragons that are not listed for sale are for sale, asking others to breed dragons together to get my color combination, which I've done before, or asking if an existing pair could be bred for me so I can get the offspring for that to tighten up my range. I've done all 3 of those before, so I'm going to first address this as if I was doing it by myself with no outside help, because I understand people are afraid to message strangers sometimes about dragons. They're afraid of being annoying. They're afraid of being blocked, stuff like that. I just want to say, it's perfectly fine to do it that way, but, there's no harm in asking people, because worst case scenario, you never get a response, which is fine. They, for some reason, get upset and block you, which is dramatic, but hey, it's whatever. Or they say no, and that's okay. People can say no. People can have boundaries. It's totally fine. And then if they say no or you don't hear back from them, you just go about your merry way and treat it as if you were doing this by yourself in the first place. Anyway, so I would buy these 2 dragons just right off the bat. even though I am the type of person to go out and message people. And that's just, I don't want anyone sniping these dragons for some reason, or for them to get off the marketplace or whatever. Plus, they're fairly cheap. This one is 40 gems, which may be, a bit expensive for some people. If I really wanted this dragon, 40 gems is doable. I definitely wouldn't mind investing in it. Plus, you're gonna get a lot of fodder from this anyway, so you're gonna make that money back. So let's say I bought these 2 dragons. Perfect. Their range is wide, from metals to, what is this? Ruby. But it's doable, and I can tighten that up with breeding them together and looking for more dragons. The next thing, if you were to ask people for help, is looking to see if any current dragons exist with your desired color combination. So looking for brown, cherry, and the color pattern XYY. So there's 2 dragons that exist with this color combination, and it looks like one of them's in a dead lair. So we can check that real quick. Signs that the dragon's in a dead lair is, no clan information, so you can't even really contact them. They don't say anything about, don't message me for dragons or stuff like that, so you always check their clan information before you message someone. Obviously unfed dragons. I've come across active users that have unfed dragons, though, so it does pay the check. And then another really good sign is, they don't have any dragons in their hibernal den. Usually this means they have been away from Flight Rising for a long time. Now, you can totally just send them a message anyway, just for the off chance that they get on Flight Rising again. Totally do that. There's no harm in doing that. Yeah. And just, if you're going to write a message, I can include a basic one in the comments. I'm not going to go into my private messages right now. So you can use that as, a template. I will put that in the description for you to use. And I've had success with it. Anyway, onward. So this is the only active-looking dragon. So I would go over and investigate, basically. Is this person actually in an active lair, even though the dragon is in a hibernal den? So I would check their actual lair. The dragons are fed. It looks like this person is fairly active. Now, you want to be careful, because sometimes staff does do a thing where they feed your dragons automatically, so everyone, even the dead lairs, are going to have fed dragons. So you're going to want to wait a few days before you go around asking people if their dragons are available. So, next thing I do, I notice that they're active, so I'm going to take a look in their clan information. They're on hiatus, I think. I don't know what WDW stands for. And then I'm going to read, "Hello, it is me, blah, blah, blah. Welcome to my lair of bajillion durgs. I need to clear out. I can't get rid of." So, it sounds like they may sell this to me. It might be promising. You're going to want to read everything, though. So, this person has ADHD. Stressful, forgetful, not ignoring you, I promise. So this person seems fairly nice and available for, an actual message. So I'd be like, "Hey, is Cassiopeia for sale?" One thing I am going to note here, this doesn't come up often, but this is a Naomi descendant. I'm not going to go into crazy details on what that means, but it means this dragon's probably going to be somewhat expensive, if not, there might be some sentimental value here. Basically, Naomi was a glitch that happened, so descendants of that dragon is kind of a fun sort of thing that some people do and try to collect. For lore purposes or to have expensive dragons or whatever. So they most likely is, if they will sell the dragon, it's going to sell for a high amount. But then you would have your brown cherry, so you wouldn't even have to do any breeding unless you wanted to pair. And And least likely, they probably won't be too willing to breed this dragon for you. Because Naomi descendants they go for quite a bit. From what I'm told, I don't really pay too much attention. I just know of this phenomena. So I would shoot the message. I would be like, hey, is this dragon for sale? I probably wouldn't be like, oh, well, I don't care if it's a Naomi descendant or not, just after the color combination. That's information that they don't necessarily need. I would just, be aware that this dragon may be expensive, so you might be surprised if they'll be like, yeah, I'll sell it to you for like 300K. Anyway, so that's an option you can do. Now, what would you do if, the dragon surge doesn't turn anything up for your desired combination? Well, I would go back to doing Cherry XYs again. And then probably just the brown range. So anywhere from Auburn probably to caramel or cinnamon is what I consider a brown range. And then actually highest first, because those are going to be your newest dragons. So I'd be looking here. We have an Auburn and a clay. I always forget the freaking color wheel order. So Auburn's here, clay is here. If I can get my hands on both of those dragons, that's already a super short range. So I would check these layers out first. We'll go Braggy first. So he's fed. That's a good sign. He's in a layer that has dragons for fed. And he's in a fodder tab. This is usually good news. A lot of people who do fodder for Dom are willing to sell you these dragons for Exalt prices. I will mention that some people have had bad experiences selling their fodder to people in the past, just because, people will sell their dragons for a really low price, and then it'll go to a Dom user who's definitely going to exalt them, and then that user will panic and be like, oh, can I buy my dragon back, or blah blah blah. And just know that some users aren't super willing to give up their fodder. What you can do is be like, hey, what I would say in a message is, hey, is Braggy for sale? I would love to use him for this dragon project that I'm working on. I might even mention that I'm looking for a brown cherry to use, and then I would say, I would be willing to, buy this dragon from you, or trade for another fodder dragon that's an adult, or basically be flexible. And you'll probably, if you're nice and you're to the point and short, you'll probably get a good response. Anyway, we always look at the clan information just to see if they have anything about, their fodder rules, or don't ask me about buying dragons or whatever, right? So you just want to check out everything. And I know it sucks, reading sucks, but you're just going to have to read through and make sure that they don't have any don't contact me for blah 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 reasons. So you don't want to piss people off, because that's one quick ticket to get blocked. Anyway, I tend to be very blunt and direct, so I'm sorry if I offend anyone. That's fine. Just, be nice, short, and to the point when you message them. Yeah. So, doesn't say anything about, not messaging them for a dragon. So, what I would do is I would go ahead and message for their dragon. Because then I have these I would have these two dragons to fall back on. So if they say no, I still have two dragons that I can breed together. And then we check our next one. This is, at the moment, breeding projects. So they may not sell this dragon because it's already in a project. It's kind of unclear because this one's also for sale. So, I don't know if it's their sale tab or, what's going on. I would probably ask anyway. Or I would ask, but I would also be like, hey, if you won't sell, I'm really interested in any offspring that this dragon will have with you, because it looks like, can't social uh what pronouns are this person? Blah. Okay, don't know their pronouns. They will probably be like, breeding these two would be my assumption, because they don't look related, at least offhand. So, and that's it would give you Auburn Cherry or Auburn Red Range. So that would be a good dragon offspring to use as well. Anyway, message them, be short, sweet, to the point, you know. Definitely read their bio. So, like, liking my dragons is fine. Feel free to leave a comment. I don't bite. Love attention. Yeah. This looks like lore, so I'm not going to read that. Massive mess. Extra stuff. Oh, she, her, or they, them. So, hey. Blah, blah, blah. Animals, snakes, spiders, online, introverted, blah, blah, blah. Please don't. So I may not always reply to comments or messages because they're anxious. So that's something to keep an eye out. I mean, they don't say, don't message me. They just say, hey, I might not actually respond. So just be prepared for that. Yeah. And then, so next would be, I have 2 dragons. I would probably immediately put them on a nest and then start messaging people. And then it might be like a week or so before anyone responds. And if they do, just make sure you have money and space. I usually keep my lair. I try to have at least 15 empty slots available in my actual lair, and at least some spots available in my Harbernal Den, so I can throw dragons into my Harbernal Den if I need to. And then have dragon money on you. If I were like to offer for that Naomi descendant dragon, I would make sure I would have a lot of cash on me. Some people might be flexible. That dragon looks like it's been in their lair for a long time, so they may be willing to wait while you get up from some funds. But me just being the overly cautious person, I would probably do some research. I would look how much the most recent Naomi descendant went for, and then try and have that much on hand, if not a little bit more, in case, when I ask to buy that dragon, then they say yes, but only for a certain amount of money. I won't be left hanging or having them frustrated for waiting on me to get funds. That's just because I'm overly cautious. And then I would message those other people who have promising dragons and be like, hey, what's up? And then I would have money and space available for that. If I was going to offer, because some people don't know how to price their dragons, and I like buying my dragons cheap. Like, for me, I have to think about, spending $30,000 on a dragon, unless it's really, really pretty. So I typically buy my dragons anywhere for like 10 KT to 25 KT on a regular basis. So I typically ask for dragons, around 25 KT. And they can always say no to that and ask for a bit more. But if they're like, oh, sure, just make an offer, then I'm probably going to lead with 25 KT unless it's like, a cool looking Gen 1 or something. I'm not going to try and scam people out of their dragons. I'm just going to be like, if I'm going to breed this dragon and it's not actually the one I want, then I'm going to try not to spend a lot of money on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm going to end up exalting it or trying to resell it, I don't want to make my hole that deep. But that's just me. Like, you can always gain back money because you can always go into the fairgrounds or Coliseum or however you make money. So that's just my advice. And that's how I start dragon projects. That's how you would go from, like a 1% to eventually maybe a 10% and maybe like actually getting your dragon. It'll take time. With that brown cherry, that's not a bad combo, especially if you end up messaging people and getting, that tight range really fast. With this current project that I'm working on, the Sand Mantis Cerulean, that was something that was hard to find. No one had dragons with this color combination, or in that tight range zone that I would have wanted, so I kind of had to start from scratch and by myself. So it's been 7 months, and I just now hit 10% chance of hatching my dragon that I want. So basically, another tip real quick. So let's say you are in the same kind of position that I'm in, where I can't really ask for help from anyone, so I just have to start from the ground up. So you get your first pair, and you get, some decent results. I do find a dragon to breed with your offspring to get an even tighter range. That's what you try and do. You basically hoard, dragons with really tight ranges. And I use this system I actually got from someone else who bought one of my fodder for their own breeding project. They use like a number system that they use either in their biography or up here. I can't remember. But they all had numbers up here, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? So I looked in their project tab, and it had the colors that they wanted for that specific project, and then numbers, and I was like, oh, I bet, 101 means that it's 1 off in the primary, 0, so that's what they want for their secondary, and 1 off for their tertiary. And turns out that's the case. If I were to go to the predict morphology, Tan is 1 off from Sand, which is what I want. Mantis is right what I want. And Cyan is 1 off from I want, because I want Cerulean. And then you would also use negative, so if it was teal instead of cyan, I would use -1 for going backwards, and then positive numbers for going forwards. It doesn't really matter what direction, but using the direction is very helpful, because then you can easily find pairs. So if it was -1, I would want, if it was -1, which means teal, I would want a dragon that is more forwards instead of backwards from the colors that I want, because it would be counterproductive to look for an abyss than, say, like an aqua. Anyway, so you can do something like that. That just helps keep track. And then, make little notes to yourself. Be like, oh, 10% chance of what I want with Finder, this dragon right here. So Finder is 4 off, 1 off, and 0 off. And this pair right here gives me my max percentage. Everything else kind of just fodder or can be bred at the same time, but they have larger ranges, so it's a less chance of getting what I want. Or these guys are waiting to see if they'll have mates in the future, because 011's not bad. 011's not bad. 101's not bad. 003 is not bad, They're just, waiting around for better chances. So have a lot of lair space if you're, really focusing on a project, so you can grab as many dragons as possible and keep your good offspring. And that's it. You'll nail that range eventually. This is a 6th or 7th month project right here, and I'm still not done. I can't tell you how long this dragon took to make. Born a year ago, so I've had her for a year. I think I still have Pitch. So I didn't buy Pitch as a baby, so I can't tell you how old he was when I bought him. So that project took anywhere from a year at maximum to less than a year to do. Yeah. um, so you can do it. I believe in you. I've done it. You know, you can reach out to others. I've even asked 2 separate people if they would breed their dragons together for me. So, like, one user had a dragon that fit my range quite well. Another user had a dragon in my range that would pair perfectly. They were just in 2 separate users' lairs. And I've actually gone to the forums and made like a dragon breeding request and been like, hey, you know, I'm working towards this color combination, and you two have great dragons. Would you be willing to collaborate and breed a dragon for me? Like, I'll pay you. I can give you art because I'm also an artist, you know, and stuff like that. So, and then you tag them, and then hopefully they'll respond. I've had people, I've done that a couple of times before actually, and I've had people say, you know what, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. Sorry. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Thank you for responding. But I've had successes with that as well. I've had a couple of people do that for me in the past. So, you know, message people. Don't be afraid to tag users in the forums. I don't typically like using the forum method just because it's doubly hard to get like 2 random users to trust each other for you. Like, if you think just trying to buy a dragon off of someone when that dragon's not listed for sale, or, you know, having a user breed 2 dragons of their own together for you is kind of a shot in the dark, then asking 2 users to trust each other for you to breed, like, a dragon's gonna have to move to someone's lair, either like an eye, like a specific eye nest project. What are they called? It's like the coalition for matching eyes or whatever, where you can go into the forums and ask like people from certain flights to like host a nest for you. So they can do that, but also some people don't even like doing that because, you know, what if that user suddenly becomes inactive and like you never get your dragon back, or what if they steal your dragon and try to like sell it or exalt it, you know, stuff like that. Trusting people can be hard in flight raising, so like asking 2 separate users to trust each other for another stranger is, you know, it's hard. Some people are willing to do it though, so that's my last ditch effort would be pinging people in the forums to try and breed 2 separate dragons together, you know. I've done it before, it's worked before, but man, do I hate doing it. So, anyway, that's how, you know, I do dragon breeding projects. And I mean, I have, I guess, incredible patience. I don't know. I usually have like 2, 3, 4 going at the same time, so I'm not too terribly bothered because I'm always breeding something. But if I was just focusing on one, especially with a large breeding cooldown, I don't know if I would be as patient. So, like, make sure you have other stuff to do in Fire Rising. Otherwise, it's going to be freaking frustrating, especially if you have a really long range that you're working with. I couldn't imagine. Um, anyway, that's a lot of chit chat, and this video is like already 30 minutes long, so hopefully that clarifies a few things, and hopefully, you know, it gets you off on the right foot in terms of like how to start dragon breeding projects. So, yeah, thank you for watching. I know this is a lot of information, but hopefully you're familiar enough with Fight Rising, and that you can get all of that good dragon breeding projects done. Hopefully it doesn't take you forever, and I wish you luck and lots of patience. Right, bye.